What's up, everybody? Good afternoon. Time to catch up. It is Wednesday, so we're going to do college football quarterback Wednesday. And at that point, we will be caught up going into Thursday. I've gotten a good amount of support for the idea of this recurring weekly series. People are really interested in this because, hey, however good Gino played on Sunday, I think we all know he is not a long term franchise quarterback for this team. He is a capable stopgap. He is capable. But I think a lot of Seahawks fans still have their minds on college football when they're looking for the Seahawks quarterback of the future. So I updated my list. It hasn't changed radically. One game should not radically change your opinion of which quarterbacks are good and which quarterbacks are not. But you're learning things as you go. You stack knowledge on top of knowledge. So, again, I don't want to get lost in the weeds on statistics. Statistics in college football can only take you so far. It's the same for the pros, especially college football. Every year, you've got college quarterbacks who throw 8 touchdowns a game. It seems like, and 5,000 yards in a month because that's the way their teams play football. I don't want to get lost in the weeds on just the numbers. I want to talk about the players. And we got a very cool treat on Saturday last week when we got to have my number one and number two quarterbacks at the time play each other when Will Levis in Kentucky played Anthony Richardson in Florida. Excuse me. But I did actually stream that whole game. I watched the whole game because it was such an important game for many Seahawks fans. Very, very few people weren't enamored with at least one of those two guys. So, Levis versus Richardson, I streamed it. And as you can see, when I updated my rankings, Levis remains at the top and Richardson bumped down one spot. And if you watch that game, it's pretty clear why. Levis didn't play a great game, but he overcame his offensive line to make enough plays to win. He's clearly going to have issues this year with that offensive line, but he brings so much stuff to the table that you like. The quick release, he's got a big arm. The touchdown pass he threw, that ball travels like 65 to 70 yards in the air. And you look at that and you go, he may not put up the best numbers this year because his offensive line has just completely fallen apart around him. But he is going to project well to the NFL because he's got that arm and he's got that quick release, and he played a pretty good game. Anthony Richardson, on the other hand, showed you that he is a project. And I want to emphasize that. That doesn't make him bad. That doesn't make me lose interest in him. It just makes him a project. And I have no idea if you guys can hear that back there. I apologize if you can. Sometimes my sugar gliders start barking and they just take a minute or two to do it and then they stop doing it. And of course, they would occasionally do it when I'm recording. So whatever. You guys might not be even able to hear it for all I know. But anyway. Anthony Richardson did bump down a spot because he didn't play well, and he showed you that he is a very raw prospect. And that doesn't make him bad. That doesn't make it a bad idea to draft him. That just makes it a question mark if you're going to be able to develop him properly. And it also means it's going to take a little bit of time for him to get to the point where he can play in the NFL. Anthony Richardson, you're probably looking at a guy who's more of a year two guy than a year one guy. Will Levis is a year one guy. Richardson, year two, maybe even year three because he's so young. And by the way, he may stay back. We don't yet know about that. I'm going to continue to say what I've said about Richardson that I've said about most other college players. If they feel like they can get the big rookie deal, getting drafted high, they're going to probably come out. Even if they think staying back in college is going to make them better, unless that being better translates to a significantly higher draft pick, they probably come out because they want to get that money as soon as possible and they don't want to risk getting injured and diminishing their value. So Richardson did play pretty poorly. He missed a lot of throws. His footwork was kind of all over the place. He had some bad turnovers. I still like him a lot, but he did show you that he has a lot to learn. And at the end of the day, he was a big part of the reason why Florida lost. So I did bump up KJ Jefferson over Anthony Richardson because KJ had another good game for Arkansas. Um, it's so easy to identify what KJ Jefferson is. He is a Cam Newton type. You can see so much of Cam Newton's game in him. He's got the power, he's got the speed, he's got the questionable fundamentals of throwing the football that nevertheless he overcomes with his arm strength. He's got the same number on his. It's uncanny, man. And he played another really good game, and he continues to pile it up. So eventually, Arkansas is going to face a big time opponent, but for now, he is putting it on against lesser teams. And actually, one of his games was actually against a ranked team, so you can't say he's just beating up on garbage. So Jefferson's second now. I like him a lot. CJ Stroud remains fourth. He played a good game for Ohio State. I continue to find him to be strong, but not overly remarkable. And I'm going to have to bump Bryce Young up. I am not the biggest fan of Bryce Young. He just looks. It just doesn't feel like it's going to fully translate to the NFL to me. But there is some stuff to like. And even though Alabama didn't play well in that game against Texas, and Bryce Young didn't necessarily play great, he did put the team on his back a little bit. There was not a whole lot working for Alabama in that game, but Bryce Young came up with some big-time plays at the end, and you got to give him credit for that. I still just don't love him as a pro prospect. There's just something there that I'm not into. He's small, but it's not. He doesn't seem to be quite as stocky to me as Wilson, so I don't know how he's going to hold up in the NFL. But I got to give credit where credit's due. He's not a bad prospect. Cam Ward bumped down to 6. He bumped down one spot. I watched some of that game they played, and even though Washington State won, he's just shaky. You can see that it's going to take time for him to develop confidence in a Division I football program. You can see that the transition from Incarnate Word to Washington State is not going perfectly smoothly. And even though Wazoo won the game, it was a bizarre win that Cam Ward didn't have a ton to do with. He had turnovers, he had footwork issues, it's still, though, that arm. He's got such a nice arm. So I'm going to continue to be enamored with the ability, but you can clearly see where he is a project. Like Anthony Richardson, either he's going to stay back in college, or if you draft him, you better be ready to develop him for at least a year, because he's showing you that the ability is strong, but the results are not yet there. I bumped up Slovis a little bit because I thought he was playing well before he got hurt. And when he got hurt, you could see a significant drop off for Pittsburgh. I like Slovis a lot, though. He's one of my favorite potential late round guys. Van Dyke, I bumped down, not because he necessarily did anything wrong, but because he's played 2 complete cupcakes, and I'm having a hard time evaluating him. I'm not seeing him do a lot of NFL throw stuff right now. I'm seeing everything be kept very simple. So I'll make an evaluation of Van Dyke in full when we actually get to see Miami play against a team that's going to make them work. And then number 9, I have Hendon Hooker, who played a good game. I believe Tennessee won in overtime. Impressive game. He has the same problems, which is basically just age, but I like everything else. And Tanner McKee, he didn't play very well against USC, but physically I still like him as a specimen enough to put him at 10. And that is my QB rankings for the moment. So let me know what you guys think. What would you do differently? I'm going to get out of here, go Hawks, and that's my QB rankings right now.